ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه وبركاته عليه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we were discussing the hadith of Abu Hurairah, we extracted all the benefits from it in regards to the only sin, or if you want to say the forbidden act while one is fasting during the month of Ramadan, that as a result of it, if one was to fall into it, that it deserves what they call a kafara, an expiation, is for one to be intimate while one is fasting during the day of Ramadan without a legislated excuse or justifiable excuse from Kitab and Sunnah for one to be pardoned from fasting on that particular day. So if one was to fast, as we discussed last class, and he fell into being intimate with his spouse, then, like we said, is upon him four affairs. Number one, we said what everyone. Number one, that person has fell into a major sin, as he violated the sacredness of fasting without a legislated excuse from Kitab and Sunnah. So which comes as a result of it, he fell into kabira min kaba'ir al-dhunub. He fell into a major sin from the major sins. For one, to violate the sacredness of fasting without something of a rukhsah, without something of a license or an allowance that will allow him to pardon himself for that particular day. If that's not the case, like we said, he falls into a major sin. For eating and drinking in the month of Ramadan or during the day without a justifiable excuse is considered from the kaba'ir, it's considered from the major sins. Due to the hadith, as we discussed about when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says of what happened on the night where he was taken by those two angels, and he said, when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the part of the hadith where he says, ثم مررت ببعض الناس ثم مررت بقوم فانطلق بي. Somebody's phone? No. He said فانطلق بي حتى إذا كنت في سواء الجبل فإذا أنا بقوم معلقين بعراقيبهم مشققة أشداقهم تسيل أشداقهم دما فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من هؤلاء؟ قال هؤلاء الذين يفطرون قبل تحلة صومهم. We said that this narration is authentic. It says in the Message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, فَإِذَا أَنَا بِقَوْمٍ مُعَلَّقِينَ بِعَرَاقِيبِهِمْ. He said that then I came across a people who were being hung upside down by their hamstrings. And he said their cheeks were being ripped apart, and it was also coming out profusely blood. He said, who are these people? He said they are the ones who broke their fast before the time came for them to break their fast, meaning they did not have a legislated excuse, but they just broke it due to something of a sin or something that was not justifiable or legislated. So number one, we said if a person falls into being intimate with his wife, we said number one, it's upon him to make tawbah. Number two, it's upon him a kafara. It's upon him to carry out expiation. Number three, ala qawl rajih, what is also the correct opinion is that he will have to make up the day after the month of Ramadan. And the fourth thing that is upon him is what, everyone? Get a chair, Suhail. And the fourth thing that is upon him is that he has to abstain from food and drink for the rest of the day until the sun goes down. The chair, I have one in my office. There should be one in my office. طيب. What is it now if one was to fall into this sin more than once in one day? For example, a person was fasting during the month of Ramadan and he was intimate with his spouse more than once. What will be upon him? Does he have to now carry out 2 expiations? Will he have to make up 2 days? What do you say, Camden? Well, Jade. The answer to that is if a person fell into this more than once in one day, I'm not talking separate days, more than once, then a person will have to make up the fast, of course, for one day. Due to the fact you'll find from the A'imma who say, once a person falls into this particular sin during the month of Ramadan, then he already violated the sacredness of fasting already. So he's not fasting anymore. What about a person will say, but he still has to abstain from food and drink for the rest of the day. And that's considered like fasting. We say that type of fast is not a fast that's mujzi'. That type of fast is not a fast that will what? Remove the responsibility. It's the difference between a fast that's legislated, meaning that you start at the time for Fajr all the way up to when? Focus, everyone focus. All the way until the sun sets completely. Right, everyone? That's the legislative fast. Once you break that, then the legislative fast has now been what? Removed. We said that from the uqubat, or from the punishments that the person will have to observe after he's violated that fast, is that he has to abstain from food and drink for the rest of that day. So that still is a type of fast, one would say. But we say that that's not the fast of what has been legislated. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? It's not the fast that's been what? Legislated. Meaning, there's mujzi. Meaning with the law. It's considered a fast that Allah Ta'ala will accept based upon the fact that a person is supposed to start his fast from when? The time of Fajr all the way up to when? The time when the time sets. And also, when we know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that a person is supposed to abstain from evil actions verbally and physically. And like we said, a person violated his fast by what? Being intimate with his spouse. So we said, even though a person abstains from food and drink for the rest of the day, that type of fast is not considered a legislative fast. Will what? Remove the responsibility if one was to be kept questioned and be held accountable on the day of resurrection for that particular fast. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So that's what we said. If a person falls into the sin more than once in one day, it would be upon him 4 affairs that we said. Even if he is to do it 2 times, a 3rd time in one day, he still what would be upon him is to perform what? One kafara, because he's not fasting the legislated fast anymore. After the what? Violated with the sin he committed the first time. Is it clear what I'm saying? After that, that's just a regular, if you want to say a physical fast, but it's not a legislated fast in which Allah has legislated. After he violated it due to that act he committed. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? What if the person was to do it every day? Each time, for example, he fell into it today. Then tomorrow, he started his fast and then he fell into it again. Then the 3rd day, he started his fast for Fajr, then fell into it a 3rd day. What will be upon him? For each day that he violated his fast, then that's what he will have to perform for each one a what? An expiation. Is it clear what I'm saying? If you look in the hadith, if you look at your books, everyone, if you look at your books, it says on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, they said that the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we clearly mentioned from last class, it says, وَقَعْتُ عَلَى امْرَأَتِي يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Well, first in the narration, if you notice, it says, هَلَكْتُ, I'm destroyed. We said from the last benefits, when we mentioned in the last class, what did we say, everyone? That ahsant. When he said the word halaktu, I'm destroyed, that was a clear indication that he had knowledge. If you look in your books and look in the narration, it says halaktu, I'm destroyed. From that level, that wording is to show that he had knowledge of what he was doing. He was not ignorant. We said he had knowledge of the hukum, of the ruling of one violating his fast by this act. That's the reason why he came to the Messenger of Allah saying what? I'm destroyed. طيب. However, if you notice in the hadith of Ahl Ilm saying that particular narration in which we're discussing now, it says what, everyone? He was still ignorant of what was the punishment. He was ignorant of what would be upon him to carry out if he was to fall into it. So we said last class, what, everyone? What did we say? What did we discuss and mention? We said just because a person is ignorant of what will be the punishment or what will be the final outcome or the consequences does not excuse the person from the ruling if they had knowledge of the fact that it was what? Impermissible. Is it clear what I'm saying? For example, we said a person knows zina, fornication is haram. Oh, but I didn't know I was going to get lashed. You still held accountable. You knew it was what? Well, if I would have known I was going to get lashed 100 times, but did you know it was impermissible? Yes, I knew that. So you understand what I'm saying? Well, I didn't know that there would be the punishment or the consequences is that you'll have to be removed from the land for a year, and you will have to be exiled from a year from your land or what have you. That's in a Muslim country, of course, not here. We're talking about if he was in a Muslim land and all the proper prerequisites was fulfilled for establishing zina. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and you from falling into that. And nas'al Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala and yasturu anna as-sitr al-jameel. And also to cover us up with a beautiful covering. طيب. So if a person now was to fall in this particular act, and for example, in the Muslim land, the Muslim country, and all the facts and the evidences have been established, the person would say, the first thing the judge would ask, did you know it was haram? Did you have knowledge of it? If the person says, yes, I did. You understand what I'm saying? However, Ahl Ilm say in this regard, they say two things. Let's just say he was a new person that became Muslim, just entered the fold of Islam. Didn't have knowledge of the affair, didn't have knowledge at all, as there are some people out there that just enter the fold of Islam not realizing that this matter is impermissible. If that was the case, there's something different. Then the had would not be established. Then the penalty would not be established. If he lived in a non-Muslim land and he just entered the fold of Islam, for example. However, if he's in a Muslim country, taking consideration the environment that he's in, then usually in most cases, they know that premarital sex is what? Or premarital relationships are impermissible. If he was in a Muslim country, this is something that's established, it's known and it's widespread. In that particular instance, he would not be excused. But however, if the person is in a non-Muslim country, for example, he did not have knowledge, then the penalty will be removed from him in that particular case. However, if a person has knowledge, knows that the ruling is impermissible, then that suffices in order for the what? The disciplinary actions and the consequences to go forth. And just because he's ignorant of the ruling of what will be the consequences or the penalty of it, does not remove him from it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? As long as the person knew it was what? Impermissible. The example of that is clearly in the hadith in your books, as we discussed. It says in the hadith, what, everyone? Halaktu. I had knowledge of, basically the man is saying, I had knowledge that this thing that I fell into was impermissible. Even though he just said it in one word. I'm destroyed. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu notice that the Messenger of Allah alayhi always tried to make someone feel comfortable in a manner in which to try to ease the situation. In a lot of different instances, you'll find that he tried to what? Ease the situation for something that took place that the person came with, which was a tremendous affair. For example, what happened with the man and the woman who committed zina. And the man who was Ma'iz, the name of the Sahabi who was Ma'iz, who came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, Messenger of Allah, I committed zina. I committed fornication. So the Messenger of Allah turned away. He didn't say, you stupid idiot, what made you do a dumb thing like that? Messenger of Allah turned away. Then he admitted again, turned away. Admitted it again. To the point where the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, ask, is he saying you in the right state of mind? Maybe he drunk something. He's making excuses for him. You'll find that when the Messenger of Allah turned away, They say from the benefits of it is that he was giving him an opportunity to make tawbah. So he didn't start with the punishment. Basically, go make tawbah between you and Allah. Go. What are you doing? You know what's going to be the consequences if you keep saying it. Make tawbah between you and your Lord. Go. He turned away again, giving him another opportunity. Make tawbah between you and your Lord. Go. You know what's going to come. Third time. A lot of people think, oh, this is a disgusting religion, how barbaric it is. The message of Allah clearly showed the man mercy. Go make tawbah between you and your Lord. Go. He admitted it again. Gave him another opportunity. Go. Because the message of Allah knew what was going to come on him and knew what he had to do. So it's two things that you now have bonded upon. Not only the person that wants to get purified, but the Muslim ruler now that has to carry out the ruling. You understand? So the message of Allah gave him another opportunity to the point where he just said, to the last thing, he made another excuse for him. Smell his breath. Maybe he's intoxicated. Maybe he's not in his right state of mind. All that is to show mercy to the man. Giving him an opportunity, another opportunity, another opportunity. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe he's not in his right state of mind. Maybe, to the end of it. Then finally what? Then he carried out the ruling. After all that mercy was shown, but out of the fear of Allah that the man possessed in himself, he wanted to be purified of the sin before he met Allah. He wanted to be purified of that sin before he met Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here in this hadith is the same thing. If you look at your books, it's similar to that. You find in the narration, the Messenger of Allah tried to calm him down. He said, what made you destroyed? Ma ahlakak wa ma ahlakak. What made you destroyed? He said, I was intimate with my wife. Waqa'tu al-imra'ati. I was intimate with my wife. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu tried to ease the situation and asked him. He says, are you able to what? Are you able to find a slave or a concubine in which you can liberate or free? He said, no. He said, هل تستطيع تصوم شهرين متتابعين? Are you able to fast 2 consecutive months? The man said, no. He said, after that, are you able to feed 60 people? He said, no. He says, after the last, he said, أولا على أفقر منا يا رسول الله فوالله ما بين لابتيها بيت أهل أفقر منا أفقر مني وفي رواية أحوج إليه منا. For the narration it says, in the last thing, where it says in the last part of the narration at the end, he saw a message of Allah. Do I give this in sadaqah, meaning these dates? So the message of Allah was brought when we know those dates, and he was given a container of it, and he gave it to the man and says, give this in charity. He says, upon those who are more impoverished than us, meaning more poor than us. He said, for I swear by the 2 mountains in the Medina, there's no one in need of it, of a family, more than we are. So the message of Allah, if you notice, he did what? He laughed, he smiled. That was a tremendous situation. The message of Allah in the particular narration, you look in your book, what did it say, everyone? He smiled to the point where his molars started to what? Starts to show. So the message of Allah tried to ease the situation as much as what? Possible. Which is also a tremendous benefit to teach us not to be so dramatic people. The message of Allah always tried to what? Ease the situation and calm it down as much as possible. People always try to now do the opposite. They want to make the situation bigger even more. So I had sex with my wife during the month of Ramadan. You did? A'udhu billah. What would make you do a thing like that? Man, you must have lost your mind. You was in the right state. That's not how you deal with the situation. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That's not how you deal with it. Calm yourself down. The message of Allah tried to what? Ease the situation as much as possible. Talk to him to the point where he even smiled at the end of the hadith to try to ease and make the man feel what? At ease. To calm him down. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Jayyid. You'll find in a lot of narrations the message of Allah always tried to take in consideration the feelings of the individual. In a lot of narrations, which is to show the great exemplary character of the Messenger of Allah. Also with the woman, for example, that came to him, asked him in marriage. When she came, and the Messenger of Allah looked her up and down, and he turned away and he sat down, didn't say anything. You'll find that some of the narrations of hadith that say he did that for a reason. That the Messenger of Allah took in consideration her feelings. If he said to her, I don't have no need for you. that would have hurt her feelings. Especially if you can find a woman that came and approached a man, and you went approach the greatest man that ever lived in this dunya, who's the last prophet and final of all messengers, telling you, I don't want to marry you. The greatest man to walk on this earth after all the prophets and messengers, the most beloved of human beings to Allah, walking on this planet, telling you, I don't want to marry you. I don't have no need for you. So you see how the exemplary character the Messenger of Allah had. He said when he looked and didn't have no need, he was quiet and he sat down, hoping that she got the hint without hurting her feelings. Take consideration that she what? She got the hint. He didn't say it to her directly, I don't want you. I don't have no need for you. The narration says that the woman, she understood. Some of the narration said it was Khawla bint Hakim, the Sahabiyya, the great Sahabiyya. That was the woman who came to the Messenger of Allah. What they called her the Wahiba Nafsaha. But at any rate, she said that she even what? Turned and she stayed and she sat down. She was smart though. It says in the narration when she was, they say that she was smart, hoping that wahi would come to the Messenger of Allah and change the situation. She was smart, hoping that revelation be sent down, maybe that something would be sent down in order to what? Change the situation. But it didn't, because another man appeared and said, O Messenger of Allah, if you have no need for it, then let me marry. And then that's when the Messenger of Allah carried it for. But the point of the matter is, the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, always took in consideration a person's what? Feelings. He always took in consideration whether or not he was going to harm or hurt a person's feelings, which is to show his exemplary character he used to display in treating the people, always making sure that the person will be at ease and comfortable as much as possible. And you'll find an example of this in this particular narration where it says that he smiled. But if you notice in the narration also, brothers, if the person has the ability, of course we know in these days and times there is no concubines and there is no slaves to free. So I don't want anyone to say, oh, find a concubine. And there is no Bubba Fiqh on the street that we know where they say, I had a sister sign a contract with me, she became my slave or my concubine. That does not exist, brothers and sisters, because there's no legislated battles or wars. Here, there isn't any. And we know that those type of concubines or slaves are taken due to what? Due to war. There isn't any. So that's the reason why that narration, to say that you freed a slave, that is the original initial hukum. But that is not what we're applying here. So no one try to say I went on, what is a famous street that a lot of people hang here in Delaware? It's like a famous street or a block or a street. Market? Right here? Okay. It was infamous, huh? It's crazy, huh? So nobody try to stand on Market Street and say, well, I got me a concubine that I had, that she signed the paper, and now I'm going to free her. No, there isn't any. That doesn't exist. You understand, everyone? However, the message of Allah, based upon the fact that ability wasn't there, then that's when he moved on to the next choice. The next alternative, which was what, everyone? Fasting 2 consecutive months. There's some details in that we're going to mention. 2 consecutive months. So, if a person has that ability, then they can do it. A person would think, how can a person fast 2 consecutive months? It can be done, especially during the wintertime, especially when the days are short. You'll find that the days are short, might last about 8 hours, 10 hours. A lot of people now do these new intermittent fasting. I'm sure you can fast an obligatory fast from Fajr all the way up to 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it wouldn't be hard. If one has a strong resolve to do something for Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will facilitate it and make it easy for him. And won't make it in his eyes so difficult. Rather, he'll put it in his eyes for something that can be done. How many people that start off with thinking that something is difficult, and once they get into it, and they're doing it for Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates it and makes it easy for them once they start doing it. That happens a lot. Hold on for 1 second. So, now we're going to discuss this about fasting 2 consecutive months. Number 1 is the fasting for 2 consecutive months is like another ruling in Islam, which is what they call kafarat al-dhihar, which is the expiation of when a man says to his wife, which is impermissible, you're like the back of my mother, or something to that effect. And that's in Surah At-Tahrim, if you look in the Quran. The Quran is called in Surah At-Tahrim, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is not permissible to say and talk to your wife in this manner. To say you're like the back of my mother. That's what they call zihar. But that's not the point of why we're mentioning this. The point of why I'm mentioning this is because the ruling of falling into being intimate with your wife is similar to what would be the expiation if you was to say this to your wife. Meaning, you will have to fast 2 consecutive what? Months. And if you're not able to do that, you will have to feed how many? 60 poor or impoverished or poor people. Fine. Notice in the hadith, it says, if you look in the narration, which we're going to discuss in a couple of minutes, about the difference between, does a person that's faqir, if you look in your book, faqir and miskeen, are they tied in together, or are they separate, or are they different? I'm going to talk about that in about another 3 minutes, inshallah. I'm going to discuss that. Is there a difference between miskeen and faqir? And do they fall into it in this narration? Because if you look at your books, what does it say in the hadith, everyone? What does it say? It says, are you able to feed what? 60 what? Poor people. The exact wording is miskeen. 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 Fine. Is there a different? Miskeen? M-I-S-K-E-E-N, I guess. Fine. Miskeen and faqir, we're going to discuss. Does faqir fall into it? Absolutely. Fine. We're going to discuss that in a minute. Don't worry. Fine. If you look at your books, everyone, the message of Allah said that it's incumbent upon a person, if they fall into this particular act, to fast 2 consecutive months. 2 consecutive months. If he was intimate with his wife during the month of Ramadan. Fine. What did we say last class? We said the act is when the 2 private parts what? Enter each other. Does it now necessitate that a person, like I said, be mature, brothers and sisters? This is nothing funny, or we're not trying to be comical, or not trying to be perverts. We're trying to be serious and mature. Because we're trying to learn the ilm, or the actual hukum, or the ruling in regards to if a person falls into this. And the knowledge is the key to everything. Fine. Is it a prerequisite of whether or not he released semen or not? Or is it just from mere being intimate where the private parts entered each other? The private parts entered each other, the hukum carries out. It's not a prerequisite. Well, I did not ejaculate, or I didn't have semen released, or what have you. No. If the private parts meet, that's when the actual the ruling is carried out and takes place. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear? Fine. Now, we want to discuss, we talked about how this kafara, this expiation, is similar to the ruling of what they call kafara to dhihar. The expiation of saying to your wife, you're like the back of my mother. If you say that to your wife, it's now incumbent upon you to fast 2 consecutive months before you're intimate with her again. You understand what I'm saying? Before you're intimate with her again. That's what they call kafara to dhihar. Focus. However, in regards to now, if you was intimate with your wife during the month of Ramadan, then the only thing that you would want, the only thing you would do is fast 2 consecutive months, but one could be intimate with his wife in the nighttime, when the sun goes down, of course. So that's different between the other ruling in regards to the one who said, you're like the back of my mother. The one who says to his wife, you're like the back of my mother, he cannot touch her until he carries out the kafara, until he carries out the expiation. In regards to the one who is intimate with his wife during the month of Ramadan, as soon as the sun goes down, of course, then he can be what? Intimate with her. The point of why we're mentioning this is to bring the similarities in the what? In the expiation. That's all. So it's incumbent upon one to fast 2 consecutive months. And if they cannot do that, which we'll discuss in a couple of minutes, then they have to feed 60 impoverished people or poor people. We're going to discuss the details in that. Fine. Now, in regards to fasting 2 consecutive months, does it have to now bring us some other details? Does it have to start in the beginning? Is it by the hilal? Of course, is it by the lunar or by the moon? During each month that we know, it starts based upon the sighting of a moon. That's how we do it to this day. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Either the sighting of the moon or Counting how many days? 30 days. Right. Let's just say a person now wanted to carry out this expiation. I think it's clear. If a month, as far as with the Islamic calendar, if he wanted to carry out this expiation, that means he would start at when, everyone? He would start it, of course, let's just say, for example, the new month. The new month of, let's just say, for example, the first of Shawwal. The first of Shawwal. But if he started this expiation of fasting 2 consecutive months, on the first of Shawwal, he would complete it until when? Until the end? Until the end when the month is concluded. Does he now have to do it based upon the month of Ramadan, how it ended, or is it based upon when the sight of the moon is over in order to conclude that time of that month being over? For example, he started his kafara on the first of Shawwal. Then at the end of Shawwal, it ended on the 29th. And then the new month started. You understand what I'm saying? Was that considered a consecutive month or a full complete month or not? Or does he have to do it 30 complete days? Or does it matter? It doesn't matter. Can it be 29 or can it be 30? Or what is it? Ahsant. What Umar says is correct. It's based upon the sighting. If he fasts 29 days, let's just say there was 30 days on Ramadan. Has nothing to do with his expiation. It's nothing to do with it. Let's just say he fasted 30 days on Ramadan. It was 30 days on Ramadan. That has nothing to do with the what? The expiation as far as the time. If he fasts 1 consecutive month from the beginning to the end, and it ended on the 29th day, that's considered a full month. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear what I'm saying? Or I need to repeat it? Let's just say the month of Ramadan was 30 days. Person had to carry out an expiation. He fell into this sin in your books. He fell into the sin of violating his fast with being intimate with his wife. He had knowledge. He wasn't ignorant. He knew what he was doing. He did it on purpose. He didn't forget. Nor was he in a state of unawareness to the end of it. Had full knowledge of what he was doing. But he fell into the sin. But we know now it's incumbent upon him to perform an expiation. But he starts his expiation on the first of Shawwal, for example. Right? But like we said, there's nothing connected with Ramadan. Ramadan's 30 days has nothing to do with his expiation. Is it clear what I'm saying? But he comes upon Shawwal, he fasts the month of Shawwal because he's carrying out this expiation. But keep in mind, I'm sticking with the calendar, the Islamic calendar. I'm not sticking with the Gregorian calendar. So that's the first thing that everyone has to be aware of. The Islamic calendar. Not the what? Gregorian calendar. Person looks on the non-Muslim calendar, they count the days. Wrong. Go by the Islamic calendar. Is it clear? But person is fasting. He's carrying out his expiation from the first all the way to when? The 29th. But let's just say they sighted the moon for the new month now to start, after the 29th day. But he didn't fast 30 days. Is that considered a complete month or not? Even though the month was concluded on that 29th day. Is it considered a full month or not? It's a full month. Absolutely. It's a full month. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear what I'm saying or not? Right. Now what does a person do if he wanted to carry out the expiation, and let's just say in the middle, 15th of Shawwal? How would he do it? How would he do it? Based upon let's just say now, coconut oil. That's not drugs. That's coconut oil. It's coconut oil. Yes, I do eat it. Fine. You want to touch it? Just to make sure, huh? Yeah. So it's coconut oil. Fine. So, what if a person was to now start his kafal on the 15th day? 15th day of Shawwal. How would he do it? How would you now carry out the kafara? By counting the days. So he counts the days all the way up to the next month until around the same time, or what? How would he do it? No. How many days would he do? And another question is, what day will he complete it? In what part of the day? The 14th or the 15th? Ali says the 14th. That's what I was looking for. Be aware. Depending on how that month was, whether or not it ended off on 29 days or whether or not it ended off J. Now you understand? That was the point I wanted to see if you brothers was being aware of. So you see the importance of why I'm discussing this? Because I certainly know some of these matters are not discussed, are they? Have you ever touched on certain these masail is what I'm touching on. Yeah, I'm going into details. And I like it too, because I don't make the lesson too easy, because some people say, oh, this is too easy, I don't need to come to class. Well, now I'm making it difficult. Tayyib. So if you was carrying out this kafara, that's what you would do. If it was on the first day of the Islamic month, in the beginning of the Islamic month, he would start it until what? The first, all the way up to when the month is over or concluded. It doesn't matter whether it's 29 or whether it's 30. If it ended on 29, it's considered a complete what? Month. Tayyib. Same thing in the middle. If you start your kafara, the expiation in the middle of Islamic month, I keep emphasizing that, right? Islamic month, Islamic calendar. If you start in the middle, depending on the month, how it ended, the 29th or the 30th, depends on how it would carry over to the what? To next month, to the next month. That's how you would count it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Tayyib. When you're carrying out the kafara, another question. If a person was to carry out the kafara, does now, let's just say, the allowance of you being sick or you traveling, can that be applied in the expiation or carrying out the expiation of 2 consecutive months? Think. If a person is traveling, or if a person is sick, will that affect it being consecutive? Can he, for example, is he carrying out this expiation of 2 consecutive months? He was traveling, or he's sick, or what have you. Does this affect it being consecutive or not? Or is he excused of pardon? Consecutive or not? Because to keep everything concise, because we're about to break fast in a couple of minutes. It does not affect you being consecutive. If a person can take the rukhsah, take the allowance, while he's carrying out that expiation, it will not affect it being mutatabi'. It will not affect it being consecutive. For example, you're carrying out the kafara and you're traveling. You will not have to fast. Or you're carrying out the kafara and you're sick. You have a stomach virus, you're throwing up all over the place. You will not have to what? Fast. Because of the allowance. It does take place and it does apply even to the expiation. And it will not cut what they call a tatabu'. It will not cut it being what? Consecutive. The thing that will cut it being consecutive, if it was broke with something impermissible. That's what cut it being tatabu'. That's what cut it. That's what now will break up that consistency. If you break it due to what? Something impermissible. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? But however, if you used to break it due to something legislated or something that's allowable from Kitab al-Sunnah, whether it be traveling or sick or saving a life, or you have to save someone's life, or what have you, does not affect the what? It being consecutive. Only time it'll break of it being consecutive is if you do it with something that's impermissible or something that was not justifiable from Kitab al-Sunnah. Is it clear what I'm saying? Is it clear? We'll stop here. Because we're about to break fast. Tafadhal.
So, quick question. So, you saying he doesn't have to make, like, if he's fasting, he don't have to make it up?
He doesn't, of course, he has to make up that particular. Ahsant. Good question. The person would say, does he have to now complete that day on another day so it could be consecutive? 2 months straight. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to make up that day. But it does not affect it being consecutive. Because notice the Prophet ﷺ clearly said in the hadith, you have to fast. He made it clear. What did he say in the hadith, everyone? 2, not just 2 months, 2 consecutive months, the Messenger of Allah said. Did it not say that in the narration? Consecutively. So you have to look at what will break out being consecutive or not. We'll continue tomorrow, inshallah. Or Friday. We'll continue this discussion Friday. Thought it's time to break fast. Tafadhal. Well, I'll give you that. It's basically making your wife haram upon you. Like your wife is, like, I don't look at you like you're my wife. Like you're something haram upon me. Like you're not something for me to touch or be intimate with like my mom. That's basically what it means. طيب, we'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.